finished the pivot block. These are 3/4 by 3/4 with a 5/8 reamed hole in them. Those will get stuck in the center. I'll hit the edges with a belt sander to get them to fit in there, but they fit in quite snug in both directions. Next, I'm waiting on some 5/8 cold rolled rod. I had some 3/4 laying around. I thought about turning it down on the lathe, but I decided it was easier just to buy some 5/8. I'll use it. Next one is this pivot support, which will be welded to the base sticking up, and these will have a rod sticking out to accept that hole in the pivot support. This doesn't have a width. It's 2 1/4 tall, 1/2 inch thick, which that's another thing. I don't know if I have any 1/2 inch. I got some 3/8 laying around. I'll see what I can dig up. I should have enough to make these 2 little pieces. Anyways, have the pin coming out of here, support on there in order to make the trunnion pivot. Upon further review, the pivot support stock is 1/2 by 2 by 2 1/4. So that's 2 1/4 tall. So that must mean just 2 inch wide from the raw stock. Other than that, my rod is supposed to be here tomorrow. I'm going to make the pivot pin, which will be welded into here and have some stick out. Once that's put in, it'll stick out there. And I'll also make the roller pin, which will live in here to support the bearing. Bearings will be here with it. It's been a few days now. I received my rod and my bearings. They fit right in there nicely. I still need to make this radius. We'll do that later. Off camera, I prepped this material. Rather than buying 1/2 inch, at my day job, we have these beaters. They're stainless steel, some metric, something or other. They come from Italy. But there's 3 of these on a big, like 20-inch crusher, we call it, with a 75 horsepower electric motor. And they get chewed up, and this one's actually bent, which is impressive. So for the pivot supports, I sliced a few pieces out in between the holes and just squared them up on the mill down to the proper size. For the base plate, I just took these down enough to smooth them up and took them to the proper length. They're a little oversized width and a little oversized thickness, which isn't going to cause any problems, just make things stronger. We do have a hole in the middle, but I made it to where the hole was right in the middle, so it looks like it's supposed to be there. This 5/8 rod is about 7 thou oversized, which was perfect. So I did put it in the lathe, and I gave it a couple of licks with a file and emery cloth and got it down to a nice good fit for my 5/8 ringed holes. Some of them, these are like a tappy tap fit, which is perfect. And then for my bearing, they slide through nicely. So I got enough of that. The next I'm gonna show on camera is we're gonna make these pivot supports. They're all within about 2/1000ths, close enough. So I'll set my stop at the bottom, which is the 0, to make them level off of the base. Drill and ream 5/8 hole. We're going to drill in a little oiler port right on top so that you can keep that pivot oiled and keep it from rusting up, because these things aren't going to be used daily. A little aftermath of decking off all those stainless parts. I have to spend some time cleaning. My indexable 5/8 end mill, that thing does work. It's a little worse for wear, but the inserts are still cutting. I removed a lot of material, and it just keeps on making these nice golden chips. So that's pretty much all of the machine work done. Next, I'm going to make everything on this page. That should be all the parts we need before we start assembling, minus the bearing. Bearing was store-bought. So from this rod, we'll make the roller pin and the pivot pin. Roller pin goes through here to hold the bearings on. Pivot pin will be welded into these, and these welded into the end to allow this to do its trunnion thing. This plate will probably just be a little bit of angle grinder and belt sander work. It's nothing too critical. This tube, I don't really have anything that size. It's tubular. We'll probably just run a drill straight through it. It's not that big. So let's go to the lathe and lob some sections out of this thing.